Henry Ford was not born rich. He was not born powerful. He was born on a small farm in Michigan in the year 1863. His family lived a simple life. They woke up early, worked on the land, and slept when the sun went down. Everyone expected Henry to grow up and become a farmer like his father. But Henry was different. From a very young age, he was not interested in crops or animals. He was interested in machines. When Henry was only 12 years old, he saw a steam engine for the first time. It was loud, smoky, and strong. But to Henry, it was beautiful. He stared at it with wide eyes. He wanted to know how it worked. He wanted to touch it, open it, and understand it. From that day on, machines filled his mind. Henry loved to take things apart. Clocks, watches, tools, nothing was safe around him. He would open them, study every piece, and then put them back together. Sometimes they worked better. Sometimes they did not work at all. But Henry did not stop. He learned by failing again and again. His father did not understand him. The farm needed hands. The land needed care. But Henry was always distracted. He fixed neighbors' watches instead of working in the fields. He spent nights thinking about gears and engines. Farming felt like a prison to him. Machines felt like freedom. At the age of 16, Henry made a bold decision. He left the farm and moved to Detroit. Detroit was a growing city. Factories were opening. Machines were everywhere. Henry felt alive there. He started working as an apprentice machinist. The pay was low, and the work was hard. But Henry did not complain. Every day, he learned something new. He worked long hours. During the day, he worked in factories. At night, he studied engineering books. He was hungry for knowledge. He wanted to build something of his own, something that would change the world, even if he did not know it yet. Later, Henry returned to the farm for a short time. He got married to Clara Bryant, the woman who believed in him more than anyone else. Clara supported his dreams, even when money was tight and the future was unclear. With her support, Henry continued experimenting with engines. In the late 1800s, most vehicles were pulled by horses. Cars were rare, expensive, and unreliable. Many people believed cars were just toys for the rich. Henry did not agree. He believed that one day, ordinary people would own cars. He believed cars should be simple, strong, and affordable. In 1896, Henry built his first vehicle. It was called the quadricycle. It had 4 bicycle wheels and a small engine. It was noisy and slow, but it worked. When Henry drove it for the first time, he felt proud. This was not just a machine. This was the beginning of a dream. But success did not come quickly. Henry failed many times. His first companies collapsed. Investors lost trust in him. People said he was wasting time. They said cars would never be popular. Henry listened, but he did not stop. Failure did not break Henry Ford. It taught him. Every failure showed him what not to do. Every mistake made him stronger. He learned that invention alone was not enough. He needed better systems, better planning, better production. Henry was not just thinking about cars. He was thinking about how cars were made. Factories were slow and inefficient. Workers moved around too much. Time was wasted. Henry believed there had to be a better way. Slowly, an idea started forming in his mind. What if the work came to the worker instead of the worker going to the work? What if building a car could be broken into simple steps? What if anyone could help build a car, even without special skills? This idea would later change the world. But at this moment, Henry Ford was still just a man with a dream, standing against doubt, failure, and fear. Henry Ford now had a clear dream, but dreams alone were not enough. He needed money, trust, and a strong plan. After many failures, Henry finally found the right people who believed in his vision. In 1903, he started the Ford Motor Company. This time, things were different. Henry was more focused, more patient, and more determined than ever before. At first, the company struggled. Early cars were still expensive to make. Only rich people could afford them. Factories worked slowly, and each car was built almost by hand. Skilled workers moved from one place to another, carrying heavy parts. Building a single car could take many hours, sometimes even days. Henry knew this system could not support his dream of cars for everyone. Henry believed the problem was not the car. The problem was the way cars were made. He began to study factories carefully. He watched workers. He timed their movements. He noticed how much effort was wasted walking, lifting, and waiting. Every small delay added to the cost of the car. One day, Henry visited a meatpacking factory. There, animals were cut into pieces using a moving line. Each worker did one small job as the product moved forward. Henry stood quietly and watched. Suddenly, something clicked in his mind. If meat could move to workers, why not cars? This simple idea became one of the most powerful ideas in history. Henry decided to bring this moving line concept into car manufacturing. He believed that if each worker focused on one small task, cars could be built faster, cheaper, and better. In 1913, Henry Ford introduced the moving assembly line. The change was shocking. Instead of workers walking around the factory, the car moved past them. Each worker added one part, then repeated the same action again and again. At first, many workers were confused. Some were afraid. Others thought it would never work. But Henry was right. The results were unbelievable. The time needed to build a car dropped dramatically. What once took more than 12 hours now took less than 2. Costs went down. Production went up. Ford cars became faster to make than any other cars in the world. With lower costs, Henry did something no one expected. He lowered the price of his cars. Again and again, the price dropped. Suddenly, ordinary people could afford to buy a car. Farmers, workers, teachers, all could dream of owning one. Henry's most famous car was the Model T. It was simple, strong, and reliable. It was not fancy, but it worked well on rough roads. Henry famously said that customers could choose any color they wanted, as long as it was black. Black paint dried faster, helping speed up production even more. But Henry's ideas did not stop at machines. He also thought deeply about workers. Factory jobs were tiring and repetitive. Many workers quit after a short time. Henry knew that high worker turnover hurt production. In 1914, Henry made another shocking decision. He announced that he would pay workers $5 a day. At that time, this was more than double the average wage. Other factory owners were angry. Newspapers were shocked. People said Henry was crazy. But Henry was not crazy. He was smart. Higher wages meant workers stayed longer. They worked harder. They felt respected. And something even more important happened. Ford workers could now afford to buy the cars they were building. This created a powerful cycle. Workers earned more. They bought cars. Demand increased. Production increased. The company grew stronger. Henry had not just built a business. He had changed how businesses worked. The world began to notice. Factories in other countries started copying Ford's methods. The assembly line spread across industries. Not just cars, but everything from radios to refrigerators began to be made faster and cheaper. Henry Ford became famous. His name was known around the world. But fame did not change him much. He still believed in simplicity. He still believed machines should serve people, not control them. However, success also brought problems. The repetitive work was boring for many workers. Some felt like machines themselves. Critics said the assembly line took away creativity. Henry listened, but he believed the benefits were greater than the costs. By the end of this period, Henry Ford had achieved something no one thought possible. He had turned a luxury into a necessity. He had reshaped factories, cities, and daily life. By the time Henry Ford became one of the most powerful businessmen in America, the world around him was changing fast. His factories were producing cars at a speed no one had ever seen before. Roads were being built everywhere. Cities were expanding. Life was no longer slow and limited. People could now travel far, find better jobs, and explore new places. Henry Ford believed that cars were not just machines. To him, cars were tools of freedom. He often said that a car should help people live a better life. Farmers could take crops to markets faster. Families could visit relatives living far away. Workers could live outside crowded cities and still reach their jobs. However, as Ford Motor Company grew bigger, problems also grew with it. Henry Ford liked to control everything himself. He did not trust outsiders easily. He believed he always knew what was best for the company. This mindset helped him succeed in the beginning, but later it created trouble. One big problem was that Henry Ford refused to change the Model T for a long time. While other companies introduced new designs, colors, and features, Ford kept producing the same car. He believed simplicity was the key to success. But customers slowly started wanting more choices. Competitors like General Motors understood this change better. They offered different models for different types of customers. Some cars were cheap, some were stylish, and some were luxurious. Slowly, Ford began to lose market share. Inside the company, Henry's strict rules caused tension. Workers had to follow tight schedules. Supervisors closely watched employees. Some people felt uncomfortable working under such pressure. Henry believed discipline was necessary, but many workers disagreed. Despite these issues, Henry Ford's impact on the world could not be denied. His ideas spread beyond cars. Assembly lines were used in almost every industry. Mass production became the standard way of making goods. During World War I, Ford factories helped produce vehicles and equipment for the military. During World War II, even though Henry himself was against war, his company played a major role in supporting the country. Ford plants produced airplanes, engines, and military vehicles at record speed. As Henry grew older, he slowly stepped back from daily operations. His son, Edsel Ford, took a bigger role in the company. Edsel was different from his father. He believed in design, style, and innovation. He wanted to modernize Ford cars. Sadly, Edsel's health declined due to stress and pressure. He passed away in 1943, which deeply affected Henry. Losing his son was one of the hardest moments of his life. After this, Henry briefly returned to control the company, even though he was very old. Eventually, leadership passed to Henry's grandson, Henry Ford II. Under new leadership, Ford Motor Company changed its direction. New car models were introduced. The company became competitive again and continued to grow. Henry Ford himself passed away in 1947 at the age of 83. The world mourned his death. Newspapers called him a man who changed history. Factories paused their work. Flags were lowered. People remembered him not just as a businessman, but as a man who reshaped modern life. Today, Henry Ford's legacy is everywhere. Cars are a normal part of daily life. Mass production makes products affordable. Workers expect fair wages. These ideas may seem normal now, but they were revolutionary in Henry Ford's time. His life also teaches important lessons. Success does not come from one idea alone. Henry failed many times before he succeeded. He lost companies, money, and support, but he never gave up on his belief. At the same time, his story reminds us that success must adapt. Refusing to change can lead to problems. Listening to people, understanding new needs, and accepting new ideas are just as important as discipline and hard work. Henry Ford was not a perfect man. He made mistakes. He was stubborn. He had flaws. But he also had vision, courage, and determination. He saw a future others could not see and worked tirelessly to make it real. Because of Henry Ford, the world became faster, smaller, and more connected. Roads connected cities. Cars connected people. And one man's dream became a global reality. This is the story of Henry Ford, a man who believed that ordinary people deserved extraordinary tools. A man who turned motion into progress, and a man whose legacy still moves the world today.